Hey everybody, this is Robert Ketzel and Rob Sipes from Real Estate Professionals.
Hey, everybody. Merry Christmas. All that good stuff.
Yeah, we work together with the Good Neighbor Next Door program. I mean, we're not a part of the program, but we are Good Neighbor Next Door program experts for our company. We are realtors, real estate agents in Baltimore, Maryland, and we serve all parts of Maryland for the Good Neighbor Next Door program. So this is December 23rd, 2020, and we wanted to take a second to give you a little bit of an update on what's happening, and I'll let you know what is going on in the field of Good Neighbor Next Door properties. So, Rob, give us the 2020 recap. What's been going on out there?
So anyway, 2020, what a year 2020's been, huh? I'm sure everybody viewing this video has a story of their own to tell about 2020. I'm sure we're all looking forward to getting this year behind us. That's for sure. 2020, we when COVID hit in March, or when all this stuff started going on, I mean, we were busier than you can possibly believe. And then as time went on, things kind of slowed down a little bit. And as most of you know who are viewing this, inventory slowed down a little and houses became a little bit more scarce, pretty much all over. But overall, so far as the program is concerned, I mean, it's been a great year like every year. We're out there helping folks buy these G&D properties, whether it be a single family home, sometimes a condo, townhouses, row homes, whatever it might be. We're helping folks get into these houses for 50% off. And, they can fix these places up and they've got lots of equity when it's all said and done, and they're loving it. So we're doing what we've been doing for 10 years, Rob. We've been helping a lot of folks get into these houses, and people are definitely excited about it. That's for sure.
Well, one of the reasons for the lack of inventory has been the fact that when COVID-19 hit, there's have been these eviction moratoriums
Right.
for FHA loans. So
Yeah.
all the HUD homes, it sounds horrible, but they come from the fact that somebody typically lost a home, usually to foreclosure, and those properties are on the market. So right now, somebody's Good Neighbor Next Door home that they're going to purchase next year is probably somebody's living in it right now, and they just have not left the home yet. So we do expect that probably when these eviction moratoriums are kind of lifted, and it looks like now it's extended through the end of February 2021, that there's probably going to be a good deal of properties hitting the market. But we have had a good number of properties this year, and we've had a number of successful folks. So as much as people think 2020 has been a bad year, I guess 2020 was your
Well, the,
year
well,
if
the
you bought a
housing,
Good Neighbor Next Door house with
right.
$100,000 in equity on day one. And
Well,
we have had a few of those people.
the housing market was over the top this year. I mean, in spite of COVID, the interest rates were down. There was as soon as houses would hit the market, they would sell. I mean, if anything could be said about the housing market in general in 2020 is plenty of buyers and kind of not so much on the inventory. I mean, it's been a good supply, or I should say a good demand on supply. And so it's been a great year so far as the housing market is concerned.
It's
That's
been a
for
while
sure.
since we've had something in PG County. So there's a lot of PG County
Yeah.
teachers that are probably going like, what the heck?
And I don't want these folks, and if you are a PG County teacher watching this, or police officer or firefighter, um, I don't want you to get discouraged. We've definitely noticed on this end, a crimp in the hose, so to speak, when it comes to the hopper having inventory in it. With so far as PG County is concerned, it's something that we're not used to. I like to use the word dry. It's kind of been desert-like when it comes to inventory with PG County this year. I know it's frustrating, and I just don't want folks to get discouraged. If you got time to hang in there and you're not desperate to move out of where you are, Rob and I always feel that it's worth it to wait if you can.
Oh yeah, of
Because
course.
this is a no joke program. Rob and I have been doing this for 10 years. We've sold how many homes, Rob? Between 180, 200, something like that?
Somewhere around there. I mean, it's not everybody purchases a Good Neighbor Next Door home. We have helped a lot of regular folks purchase homes, but yeah, there's a good number of Good Neighbor Next Door people,
Yeah.
And, as much as the inventory is down, there still are those opportunities. And as I said, we don't want to have a conversation about this is about good neighbor next door.
Hmm.
But if you are a good neighbor next door qualifier and you're not seeing the home that you want pop up, you can give us a call and we can always help you find a regular home. We can do that also. But our preference is for you to wait until the right opportunity to come up. We have story after story of people who have made, in our opinion, bad financial decisions where they did not give the good neighbor next door program enough of a chance. They've purchased a regular home at 100% of full market value. And a lot of these folks are going to be stuck in that home for the next 5 or 10 years minimum before they might even be able to sell it and break even. So there's just something that's so special about the program where you can purchase and have all this equity in the home on day one. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be your forever home. And as I said, we've just seen these things and we scratch our heads over it because we're numbers guys and we look at the amount of profit that somebody could make after living in the home for 3.5 years. And we just wonder why people make the decisions that they do. And of course, everybody's got the right to live where they want to live. But I mean, we've seen some really good opportunities pop up this year, Rob. And honestly, some of
Yeah.
the houses have been one bid, one win homes.
Well, I'm going to be, if I can interrupt you, Rob, I got to be honest with you. And look, we're this isn't a sales pitch, folks. I mean, what I'm about to say, I know that we're salespeople, but this program is a wonderful program. And unless you really desperately have to get out of something and you have time to wait, I truly believe that it's
It's
worth it.
life changing.
You're looking at, and I'm going to share a couple things if I may. I mean, we're talking 50% off of a house. And these, look, it's not like you're going to, Best Buy or somewhere where maybe, the price or, the price has been inflated in order for it to be discounted or whatever. HUD, when they acquire these homes, they have appraisals done. These list prices on these houses are real market value. So when you're getting a 50% discount, that is real equity.
Not
Real.
only that, but the biggest bumps have come from people financing the repair costs to fix
Yes,
the house up
correct.
and increase that value
And
even
then the
more
appraisal
than the
value.
money that they put in
Right,
there.
right, exactly. So for instance, if there's a $200,000 house that needs $50,000 worth of work, well, 200,000, you subtract your 100 grand for your discount, there's 100,000, you put 150, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just ate up 50,000 of my equity. Well, no, you didn't.
Yeah, that
Because,
property might be
because
worth 275.
correct. And now you're in a $200,000 home, even if your mortgage was 200 grand. I'm just
Right?
using it as an
Still
example.
based on that lower amount.
Right. Even by the time you add everything in, your closing costs, your rehab and all that kind of stuff that you're doing, even if it was 200 grand, you're now living and I'm just using this example, you're now living in a $275,000 house. Who moves into a $200,000 home that's worth, with a $200,000 mortgage, that's worth 275,000?
Right. Nobody in
Nobody.
this
I
market.
mean, not unless you've got some incredible deal. You've got a little inside knowledge. Something happens out of the blue. There's a miracle, 2020, and you've happened to get into this house that's worth 200,000, or I'm saying, you got into it for 200 grand and it's worth 275.
Well, let's face it, Rob.
It doesn't happen.
We've had a handful of people this year that have either put a property under contract and got scared and walked away from it, or
Mhm.
people that just basically never really saw the value. I don't really love this home that much. And they purchase a regular home, which once again, we're not against. But
Right.
it just,
Right.
if you're buying a home that's not a total junker in this market, you're going to pay market value for it, which means that you did not get a deal. There's nothing wrong with that. You paid 100% of what it's worth.
Right.
And the problem is with the cost of selling being anywhere between 5 and 10%, how long does it take you to build that equity in the home? For a lot of people, without the property value increasing, it's 5 to 10 years of being stuck in a home that may not be your forever home when you could buy a good neighbor next door home, be in it anywhere from 36 to 42 months,
Right.
sell, walk away with 50, 75, $100,000 profit tax free,
Yeah.
and then go back to renting or go buy what you really want.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is that, what I like to tell people is that I understand people have special situations, and sometimes you've got folks that, that I know, you know, a 3-bedroom townhome comes up and it's a great opportunity. And I know some of you out there, you know, maybe you've got 3 or 4 children, you know, and the townhouse is too small. You know, there's circumstances and we get it, you
Well,
know.
you can always get rid of the children.
You know, so we understand. Look, folks, we understand that there's circumstances that prevent you that you know from buying certain types of homes. You know, people need room, they need you know space. We get it, but you know,
You got to be open to living in something that's not your forever home, not your dream
right,
home,
and sometimes
because you're going to be paid off immensely for it, and you're going to get something
absolutely.
better down the road.
Look, a small sacrifice, and you know, a small sacrifice is worth it. You know, okay, maybe it's not ideal. Maybe it's a little tight, but you can manage. But look, if you can walk away from a home and I think the average, Rob, if we averaged out everything that we've ever sold, like if everybody sold right now of all the homes that we've sold in the last 10 years, I think the average is like $75,000, $80,000 average. This is average, not each person, but it's an average. If everybody up and sold their home right now, the average would be walking away with about 75 to 80 grand.
Right.
That's a lot of money. That's a 3-year investment. How many people, and look, folks, this is completely, you know, we're just talking off the cuff here. There's no script. So we're just having a fun time here. We're just talking to everybody. And we just want to be honest about this program because we feel that sometimes maybe one of the reasons why we want to start doing this is kind of interact and maybe get out there more, talk to folks about this program. We know it's all in writing. We know you can go to our website, you can read it. Sometimes it's better just hearing it and hearing it explained. But you know, who saves? Think about it.
Right,
On
right.
average,
Who's going to save
$75,000
a
in 3
hundred?
years.
I've talked to many teachers, police, whoever it is, and you know, basically, how long is it going to take you? I've asked them, how long is it going to take you to save $100,000?
Right.
The answer is never. They're
Right.
never going to do it. So, I mean, just from that standpoint of being able to purchase a property, live in it for 36 to 42 months, as you know, as a nice renovated property. So we're not talking about living in a dump.
Yeah.
And then basically selling it in 3.5 to 36 to 42 months, walking with 75 or 100 grand. That's life changing in and of itself. Let's just say that you went back to where you were before. I mean, that's life changing. What would $100,000 in cash do to you?
Yeah.
How many celebrations would you have if you did a scratch off and won $100,000? People would be shooting off fireworks,
Well, they'd be having probably the best Christmas party they've ever had.
right, right,
The best New Year's Eve. Oh,
right.
we don't do your New Year's Eve parties, but this year we are. You know, because we just won $100,000
Yeah,
and we can go out
and look, Rob,
$5,000 on a party.
we don't want to mention any names, but we've
Of
had
course not.
we've had a person this year that was going to purchase in the eastern part of Baltimore City, in our opinion, of what was a very nice neighborhood, and they thought it was too because you know it went under contract, and I forget what the exact numbers were, but I believe the purchase on it was somewhere around 60 grand, right? After the 50% discount, there was a substantial amount of renovation needed. And I remember us having a discussion about what the property was worth. And I think I had predicted that it was going to be worth around 220 to 230 fixed up.
Yeah.
And this person had a hard time believing that. And they ultimately let the house go. And an investor bought that property and fixed it up. And it's on the market for like 270 and it's under contract. So, I mean, there was a perfect example of this person had $100,000 in equity on day one, and they left it and said, no, thank you.
Yeah, they just needed, and we understand that there's budgets and things of that nature. And if a house, if a house doesn't fit so far as its budget and its monthly payment, we get it. But
that's usually not the case.
That's usually not the case. You're absolutely correct.
But budget is not the thing because, I mean, with a good neighbor next door house, because you're financing less, your payments are going to be a lot less. So affordability is usually never the issue. It's design. The heart wants what it wants.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because sometimes it is. So obviously we don't want anybody to feel badly about their situation or whatever it is, you know, whatever their budget might be. Hey, we all have our budgets, right? And, you know, nobody here has millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank that I know of. So, you know, I understand we have budgets, but most of the time, you know, these homes are affordable that people are walking away from. And, you know, I guess just because of whatever,
They're not
and
seeing the vision.
they're
And
not seeing the value, they're not seeing the vision. There's a lot, and that's why we're trying to take the time to have these videos, and we want this to be fun. We want to have a good time, but we also want to educate and kind of, you know, kind of get into your dens and your living rooms and have a heart-to-heart conversation with you, a sincere heart-to-heart conversation with some fun added in about the Good Neighbor Next Door program.
right.
Let me just share a couple testimonies, Rob, that people have shared with me. I've had people say things like, Rob, this was a life changer. You know, Rob, you know, I've had this go on. I've had this go on. I've had some really bad financial things happen, blah, blah, blah. And this was a do-over. You know, it was like hitting the reset button. It gave me an opportunity to get back in the game financially that I thought I lost. And it was going to take me till, you know, 10, 20 years to recover. But
Right.
then this program.
Right. Well,
along,
we've had
you know,
people with student loans
right.
that are $100,000 in debt in student loans, and it'd be like, what if there was a magic pill to get rid of those student loans? And well, there is no magic pill. Well, actually, there is. Purchase a home under this program, and you know, you can literally make enough money to be able to pay those student loans off and not have them hanging over your head for, you know, years and years.
And Rob, here's the biggie. You know, what are people paying in rent?
Right.
When you're paying rent, folks, and I know you all know this, at least I hope you do, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. You're paying their mortgage so that in 30 years or 20 years or whatever, that they can retire, put all that up for sale, and guess what? You help them buy the house. But when they sell it, do you get any money?
Right.
No. They're putting it in their bank account because you helped them by renting, buy their home. Now, we've all been there. There's nothing, we're not saying there's anything wrong with renting. We're simply trying to compare apples to apples.
Sure.
I mean, if you can rent something for $1,000 a month, and you can buy something for $1,000 a month equity out of that, instead of walking away from this, you can sell this and make something. Wouldn't you rather just take that same amount of money and have something you can call your own? I think most of us would say yes, you know, and so, you know, I get it. There's values to renting. You don't have the responsibility of homeownership and doing this and doing that and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time,
I think with a lot of our clients, Rob, it's not that they're pro rental.
No.
They want what they want, and the thing that they can afford is you know what they don't want. And we can tell you stories after stories, and we've got certain people that we kind of like. I don't want to say we laugh at them, but we just go back and rehash these stories of people that literally had the golden nugget in their hand and let it go.
Yeah.
And that we never understand. To us, it's not about losing a sale. It's literally about like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that. And you know, everybody's got the right to decide for themselves,
of course,
you know, where they want to live and that kind of thing.
Of course.
But what frustrates us is not that people make those decisions, that it's an uneducated decision and they don't know what we know, and they don't have an open mind enough to listen to those details. Because the person that we were talking about with, you know, when I tried to tell them it was worth 220 to 230, and they were kind of scoffing at that. And we try to be conservative in our estimations of what it's going to be worth. And of course, the market has turned for the better. I mean, this property being worth 270 is like, oh my gosh. So, you know, this person didn't see the vision, and it's okay, but it's just frustrating because we thought that all the facts and the details supported a good decision, and they just didn't see it.
Well, and I think too, Rob, I think that's part of the reason why we're doing the video, is so that we can take an opportunity to sit down with folks, so to speak. So I kind of look at this as us, you know, we're kind of like coming into people's homes, and we're sharing some time and some space for a little while. And it's kind of like being side by side and having tea and cookies and talking a little bit about the Good Neighbor Next Door program, because we want folks to be educated. We want them to understand fully what's in front of them. Look, folks, we completely understand that If you've got all the knowledge, you've got all the knowledge. We've given you what we've given you. You've processed it all, and you make decisions that you make. That's cool. I mean, we all have a right to do the things that we want to do and make the decisions we want to have. But at the same time, if decisions are being made because maybe you don't have everything that you need to make that informed, intelligent decision when it comes to, the home and all that kind of stuff, then that's why we're doing this. Because the last thing we want is people to walk away because there's ignorance somewhere about this program. So that's why we want to take the time to do what we're doing, to come in, have a friendly sit down, and try to explain some things. And obviously, look, if there's ever any questions, we want you to pick up the phone, send us a text message, email, whatever it is, your way of communication. We want to educate you. We don't want to sell you. We don't. Yes, we're salespeople. This is how we make our living. I get it. But we're not trying to sell you. If anything, we're trying to sell you on an idea that's good for you. Because look, we're going to sell houses. We're going to sell houses.
The question, the question is whether somebody's going to take advantage of that opportunity, or they're going to let somebody else, take advantage of it. And then, the difference, you don't see the difference right away. The difference is 5 years down the road where somebody's life is going to be changed versus, and in many ways, I'll be honest, Rob, there's a lot of people that think that the housing market is going to, downturn. And, look, I stopped predicting the future after I was wrong so many times.
Right.
But, a lot of these folks that are purchasing these regular homes are going to find themselves upside down, underwater, just like people were in 2008, and not be able to move. You're going to be stuck where you're at in a house that doesn't meet your needs.
Well, here's one of the things that I wanted to say too. And I just want to back up for a second on when we were talking about sales and stuff. When I said we're going to sell houses, we are. And whether it's you or whether it's somebody else, we're going to sell houses. So we just, we want you to have the knowledge needed to make these good decisions, because we don't want you to miss out on them. I mean, you've signed up with us, you've gotten a hold of us, and in a sense, we feel somewhat of a responsibility. And I'm being sincere when I say that, responsibility to get the word out and to educate, because, you came to us and there's information that you're seeking. And Rob and I both feel sincerely about getting the information out and putting the information in your hands, because, that's why we're waving the flag, like over here, over here. So if we said we got the best burger, we really should do our best to provide the best burger. Don't you agree, Rob?
Yeah, and you got to tell people about it. So
exactly, and
I think that's really what it comes down to, is you got to keep your mind open to some different ideas. And sometimes people are, what I find in real estate, I've been in the business for 25 years, and obviously I do a lot of regular real estate along with the Good Neighbor Next Door program, is the thing we find is a lot of people want to purchase in the area where they grew up or where they were raised. There's nothing against that. But, sometimes you just got to be open-minded to some different areas and some different
Rob,
ideas.
Let me interrupt you because I got a great example for that. I'm not going to mention vocation or anything like that. I'm just going to simply say that we had a Good Neighbor Next Door participant with that same thing in mind. Hey, Rob, this is where I grew up. I'd rather be near or, around the area that I grew up. But I see in this email that you just sent me, and I'm telling you, this is how it went down. I see in the email that you just sent out, there is a great opportunity. It is completely opposite, 180 degrees on the other side of town. And when I say the other side of town, I'm talking west versus east. And I'm talking many miles in between. I really would rather not live over there, not because of where the house was in terms of, it was just because there was so great a distance between, where he grew up. But anyway, long story short, probably too late. I get it. But this, he said, there is a great opportunity. I'd rather not live way over there on that side of town, but there's a wonderful opportunity here. And I know that in 3 years, I'll just get into this home. I'd bide my time. And because I can see that I can make $100,000 in this property. And I'm going to tell you right now, they did. After 4 years, called me up, said, I'm ready to sell. Sold the house, and in 4 years walked away. And this is walk away. This is net. Walked away from that table with $120,000.
There you go.
And guess what they did with that?
What do they do
They
with that?
went and moved back where they grew up.
Right.
They
Right.
used $120,000.
Were able to afford the house that they otherwise couldn't have because of that.
That's exactly right. They lived
And that 120 was tax free.
Yep.
It wasn't. It's not like, hey, I won, because the sad part about it is, you win $100,000 in the lottery. Guess what? You owe taxes on it. I mean, the first thing they're going to do is be like, give us your 1099 so we get your social security number, report it to the IRS. So when you sell a home that you lived in 2 years out of the last 5,
it's capital gains.
A single person can exclude $250,000 in gain. A married couple, 500 grand.
Yep.
So like, that's an incredible deal. So let's not even get into the difference between, like, okay, here's how much I make at my job, and after taxes I save this much. We're talking about dollars that are never subject to taxation. So the point is that how many dollars would you have to make at your job to save 120,000? You know what I mean? After paying the taxes on it, versus just getting 120,000 from the sale of a property that's tax free.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the math, but I know the answer is a ridiculous amount more.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just one example. I mean, that's just one example. There are, I mean, seriously, if I went example by example by example, tax and thought about all the people that fit into that category, we would be here another 30 minutes, 45 minutes telling stories about people who got into these homes. And look, a lot of you who are looking at this video, you've heard me say it. Some of you haven't. Look, some of you I've never talked to. Some folks have signed up, and that's it. You've signed up. We've never had a conversation. You know what I mean? We've tried, we tried to do seminars, we try to do things, and I'm just using it as an example, but we didn't have a chance to necessarily sit down, have a one-on-one face-to-face, whether it's conversation over the phone or whatever it might be. But the point is that many of you have heard me say this, and I'm going to repeat it because it's true. This does not have to be your dream home. Just like this gentleman who saw the opportunity, the house in the East versus he wanted to live in the West. This is an opportunity. He said, I'm going to make a sacrifice because I'm going to make at least 100 grand. I'm not going to save that kind of money.
Right.
And then I'm going to use that as a down payment and go back near where I grew up. I'm going to buy a single family home, and I'm going to use the $100,000 as a part of my down payment, closing costs, whatever it might be. As Rob said, he got himself into a home. Why? Because the government basically said this: hey, everybody, I got a great idea. Hey, teachers, police officers, firefighters, EMT. Hey, listen, let's go on a journey together. We've got these special little neighborhoods that we would like, you folks to buy in, and we're going to incentivize you to do it. And as an incentive, we're going to take 50% off of that house. So in other words, what the government's doing is they're writing you a check, basically, for 50% off and saying, hey, or let me just say like a $200,000 house, it's like getting a check for 100 grand and then being told you can cash it in 3 years.
So let's lighten it up for a second here, Rob. And, obviously I think people get the message that the Good Neighbor Next Door program is a good deal.
Yeah.
So, I've gotten some comments on your videos. I think the consensus is you've greatly improved on the quality of your videos. You used to be pretty bad in the beginning.
Well, I mean, hey,
and I'm talking about the shaky cell phone video. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it was always doing this, like, hey, everybody, let me talk to you about the Good Neighbor Next Door program.
Well, hey, dude, it's like, that's what happens when you go from your doing video on your phone to a GoPro.
Right. And the other thing too is that, you still have a tendency to do this. Look, I don't want to critique your videos, but
it's okay. Look, hey, we're all here for fun, right, folks? Look,
exactly. And if you have any comments on Rob's videos, please comment. That is very helpful for us to see.
Hey, dude, you suck. Hey, man, you need to go to school.
Hey, there's, it's good.
It's all good.
But
It's
what
all
we
good.
find interesting is we've had a few people say, Rob, we appreciate your videos. You don't necessarily have to tell us every time you turn left or right in the house. And here I am going to turn to my right.
I'm going to turn to my right. Well, no. Oh, you know what it is. It ends with Sherlock.
But the videos have been good, and you know what I mean. The lighting's been good.
Well,
Obviously, it's
hey, Rob, I'm always learning, and but you know, a lot of people, honestly, like I said, I'm an amateur. I'm no professional. I get out there, I do the best I can, and you know, I try to improve, and we want these to be nice videos for folks and kind of condense
yeah. I think
the
we've
info in
all. I
there.
think I do some video editing, pretty basic,
Yeah,
but I think we've both improved from the very beginning.
yeah.
And
I mean,
we've had it.
we're learning.
We got a
We're
lot of
learning.
people subscribing to our YouTube channel because of that, and I think that's awesome. Because number one, you're going to get emails, or I'm sorry, videos on Good Neighbor Next Door houses, but also we're going to be here to entertain you from time to time, because people have
Well,
told us before that when they bought a home, that buying the home was a great experience, but being entertained by us was even the better part of the transaction.
well, and entertainment is probably a relative term. Um, Whether we're, you know, we
we
might
we,
try.
we want to
People
keep
might
we
find
want to
us
keep people laughing and enjoying themselves as the
like,
process goes along.
yeah, and there might be times when we're entertaining folks and we don't realize that we're entertaining them. You follow me?
Yeah, that we're just being ourselves and we're actually
We're being
entertaining people.
ourselves, and like, that is entertaining. These guys just being themselves is entertaining. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it really, like, so yeah, it's the program is it's
Video quality is improved, and you know, just to remind people, like we typically put all of the property videos on YouTube, but but there are times when they are not on there. So you have to make sure that you sign up at the website. Number one, because when we find out who your employer is, it allows us to only send you emails on the properties you qualify for. Like one of the things that people don't understand is like we get people, and just to give you an example, we've had a number of Montgomery County people. They're Montgomery County teachers,
right.
and you know they sign up for the program or they're watching the videos and they're waiting for something to come up. And you know the bad news is we can't help you because number one, you have to
Yeah,
buy within the area that your employer services, and we've never had a property in Montgomery County.
right. And
So
Howard County, and
right.
so
So if
yeah,
you sign up on the website, it's gonna help because you're number one gonna see videos that are not available online anywhere else, and secondly, we're only gonna send you properties that you potentially qualify for.
yeah,
So if you go to gnndprogram.org, and that's G as in good, N as in neighbor, N as in next, D as in door, program.org, that will take you there. It'll just take a minute to fill out the web form. We'll email you when we have properties that come up that you qualify for. And also we'll send you other information and little content things when we do videos like this. We'll certainly make you aware of it.